Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1987's Evil Dead 2. Before we get started, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Corey_idol. And if you want to follow the show, you could follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. And let's get into 1987's Evil Dead. This film stars Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams, Sarah Berry as Annie Knowby, and Dan Hicks as Jake. So we've reviewed the Evil Dead, the first movie, 1981. From what I remember, we lambasted it.
Yes.
And deservedly so. And I know fans of this franchise are crazy fans of all of these movies.
Yes, I think I compared them to Eminem fans.
And I think that's a fair comparison. I will say this about part 2. This knew what it was, and I think this is where they started to change gears. Because I think when we did the first one, it was, is it a comedy? Yeah, I think it became a comedy. I think it started as a serious horror film that turned into a comedy because in the second one, they made this right-hand turn and went, you know what, we're going to stay in our lane and this is what this is. And they leaned into more of the comedy of it all.
Yeah, you could tell in this one, everybody was much more comfortable. Bruce Campbell was much more comfortable with himself as an actor or performer. Yep. You could tell Sam was a little bit more comfortable behind the camera with some of the shots and angles he took. The story was just better. Everything had a better flow to it. And like you said, the fact that they just leaned into the campy and leaned into the comedy just made it so much better than the first that seemed to legitimately try to be a horror movie and just did not work. And I get it. The budget for this we don't do research. So the budget, in my estimation, had to be substantially bigger than they had for the first one, which was made for about $30 in a Burger King sack. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, not a lot was going on into that film other than hard work and effort. Yeah. But I think that this one, with the bigger budget, everybody being more comfortable with who they are, having worked together, having performed together, knowing the characters who are basically the exact same people.
Yeah.
Just so much better, so much more fleshed out. This Evil Dead is more like we got to see a first draft of somebody's book, and then Evil Dead 2 became the actual copy that got published.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell from, I mean, because this technically isn't a sequel.
No, this is like a retelling, a rehashing.
Yeah, it's a reimagining of like the first one, and then it kind of takes off on its own because the first 10 minutes or so kind of act as like this alternate universe or vision of what the first movie was or was supposed to be, and then we kind of get into the rest of this film. So it opens with Ash and his girlfriend Linda, who go to the old cabin in the woods. Ash finds the tape player, turns it on, the recordings from Professor Raymond Knowby, who is translating the Book of the Dead, and as he recites it, it awakens the evil spirit that possesses Linda.
They jump off quickly in this.
They did, so,
which I appreciated.
Even in the first one, and I know, you know, we said what we said about the first one, but the one thing I appreciated about the first movie is that it did the same thing. They get to the cabin and shit starts popping off immediately. Like,
yes, they let you know. They basically let you know. Here's a couple. They're on their way to this cabin. He found it. Maybe it's abandoned. Maybe it's not. We'll find out. And then immediately you're like, tape player, hit play, and boom. Demons are out. what I appreciate about Ash here is, and especially this version, is he wastes no time.
Oh yeah, no,
There's like I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Please come back. He's like, no, I gotta kill you. Sorry, bro.
no,
Sorry.
she gets possessed. He's out in the woods or whatever and finds the random shovel and immediately just like decapitates her. I'm gonna bury her in what I can only really describe as like a coal pit. Like it wasn't dirt, it was like black rocks. I'm like, are you in a coal mine? Where are you burying this woman?
No, this was set in West Virginia, clearly.
Clearly.
No, I do like the fact that he buried her and took the time to fashion a cross just to be safe.
Yeah, and to keep the necklace too. You know?
Yeah, oh yeah, fuck yeah, you can get some money back for that shit.
You gotta take that to the pawn shop, boy.
She don't need it, she ain't got no neck.
So the evil spirit then possesses Ash, sends him spinning through the woods, but the sun comes up, drives the spirit away, and it leaves Ash sleeping in the woods. And he tries to drive away after he wakes up, but his escape doesn't go well because, much like in the first film, he gets to the bridge, and the bridge looks like, first of all, I love the shot of them going to the cabin, and it looks like somebody pushed a Matchbox car across like that shot. It's so great.
It's awesome.
But when he gets to the bridge this time, it literally looks like they dropped an atomic bomb on the bridge.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It looked like my teeth in the 6th grade.
Damn.
And what I really appreciated here about Ash, because we always say it, leave. Get the fuck out. Ash wastes no time. Cuts the head off, does the respectful thing. You know, presumably they've had sex before they went out to this cabin. Like, I banged you out a couple times. I'm going to bury you like a proper gentleman.
Yeah.
So he does.
I mean, listen,
takes his necklace back.
Yeah, if you take her out to an Applebee's, you got to bury her. Like, that's
yeah. That's respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much love. So... There you go. So then he's just like, I'm done, right? I'm out of here. I'm getting the shit. I don't care what happens. I'm out. And I have this thought watching this where, like, because I've seen this before. So I'm like, dude, I'm climbing down the mountain. I don't give a fuck. And I hadn't seen this recently enough before because I forgot how fucking high that mountain was. So as soon as he got to the edge of the cliff and he's like, no, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not climbing down that mountain.
Listen, I might. Only two things are going to happen, right? You're either going to survive like the possession and things, and you've already seen really fucked up shit happen already. So you're either going to survive or you're going to die. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to survive or die if you go down just climb down the mountain. That's all. I mean, it's the same outcome on either side.
See, I would at least be like, okay, maybe I can try and bargain with the demon, and how about like every other weekend you get all this? But, you know, for the most part, my body stays with me.
My body, my choice.
Exactly. But then, again, every other weekend, maybe a week in the summer, or 2 weeks in the summer. I don't know how divorce proceedings work with kids. Gross. So, but something like that, just so we can have a little extra time. Demon guy gets some, I get some, everybody wins.
But that night, the evil chases him through the cabin, but Ash gets away by using the trapdoor in the family room or whatever. Cut to the airport where Annie is picked up by her boyfriend, Ed. Annie has the 3,000-year-old pages from the Book of the Dead. They start to drive to the cabin because she thinks her father is still at the cabin.
Let's just go ahead and talk about Annie kind of smuggling archaeological dig artifacts out of foreign countries and back into the United States for her own purposes.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. You kind of need this to further the movie along and for her to have a point whatsoever. But also, don't do this. Don't smuggle shit out of foreign countries.
So I'm like, hey, Annie, did you check that at customs, or is that not a thing? We're not doing that?
No, do you see the plane she rode in on? No. They were smuggling cocaine on that plane, and she paid cash money to get a fucking seat
Yeah.
next to a chicken coop.
Yes, she did. It cuts back to Ash here. He's getting chased around by his corpse girlfriend, and her head shows up to do some damage as well. Starts biting on his hand. He takes her head to the shed to get the chainsaw, but the headless corpse has it, and after getting the chainsaw, he destroys the corpse and the head, and he heads back into the cabin.
This, for me, is when the movie picks up. I would imagine for most people, this is like the beginning of all of the iconic scenes for the rest of the film.
Yeah, this
like
is
once he gets the chainsaw, it's kind of over.
Yeah, this is iconic Ash. Here.
Yes.
The minute the chainsaw's in his hand, and then he goes back in the house and he exchanges the chainsaw for the shotgun. And what I did respect here is he gets the shotgun and he puts the shells in the shotgun, and then he takes some extra to put in his pocket. Great move. And that's what you should do here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this movie's campy and it's silly and all this stuff, but Ash actually does a really good job of breaking all of the tropes that get people fucking murdered in horror movies.
Yes.
So recognizing that so early on, and I mean, I know like Halloween had been out by now, Friday the 13th had been out by now, you know, like the horror genre, the slasher flicks and demons and that kind of shit, that was prevalent in theaters. This was really when it was picking up steam. But for you to recognize that as a writer and filmmaker and put that into the script, to have him subvert those, and that's why he's staying alive. I love it.
No, that's great. And after he gets the shotgun, he's walking through the house and he sees the rocking chair start rocking, and he reaches out with the hand. It stops, and then like his hand starts rotting. His own reflection chokes him, and then he loses control of his hand. This is where it starts to cut back and forth between Annie and Ed getting to the bridge and meeting Hillbilly Jake that they convince to carry their shit, because he's like, man, yeah, there's a trail that goes over to the cabin and you can go through the trail. And she was like, cool story, bro. I'll give you like 4 nickels. Can you carry my shit? And he's like, hell yeah.
Oh, dude, Annie straight up has the fucking upper middle class white woman energy at fucking 11 here. But before we really dig into the Karen of it all, the performance given by Bruce Campbell fighting his own hand.
Oh, it's great.
I'll say, just not this, but like him going crazy and the facial expressions and the things he's able to do in this. It's fantastic. And I know a lot of people will say cult classics and B movies and shit like that. Bruce Campbell really is a very underrated performer.
Groovy.
This is what I need to learn how to do in my own writing, because I fucking hate these characters so much. I can't give them any time. I don't want to write you. And for them to be able to put these characters in here, because this is basically the fucking cliche gang, right? Everybody in here is a fucking stereotype of who they are supposed to be in this film, and it's perfect, or who they're supposed to be representing in this film. And it's perfect, and they do such a good job. And Skeeter, or whatever the fuck his name is, I couldn't wait for him to die.
I couldn't wait for him to die either. Him and his stupid girlfriend. But so
and here's why. He's the most unrealistic character in the movie. Because his girlfriend gets shot, and he loses his mind and kicks the shit out of the guy. A real hillbilly would be like, quit whining, bitch. Make me some taters. Hey, man, shit happens. Shit happens. What kind of shot you got there? That double barrel? That double barrel? Where'd you get that? That's how that conversation goes. Know your hillbillies, bro. That's all I'm saying.
We then cut back to the cabin here. This is where Ash's hand is literally beating the shit out of him until he finally cuts it off with the chainsaw. He puts the hand under the bucket, but it gets away and crawls into the walls, where Ash starts shooting at it through the walls until the blood starts to like trickle. So he thinks he shot the hand. And then all of a sudden, you get to drink from the fire hose of blood because it just shoots out of the wall. And then shit just gets Looney Tunes. So we get into like the Looney Tunes of the house, including Ash, where they're all laughing and you get the little Pixar lamp and it's doing its thing. Like, this is where I was like, okay. Obviously throughout, especially with his hand attacking him and yada yada, they got into the humor of it all and the ridiculousness, and this is where they started to really lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this is where I really started to enjoy myself.
Yeah, like I said, the second he picks up the chainsaw, he sticks that bitch's head in a vise and picks up a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, look, not to go all fucking Robert Blake about it, but that was fucking great, and I'm invested at this point.
This is where Ash hears the noise at the front door. He blasts through it immediately, and then you have Annie, Ed, their two hillbilly tour guides. They come in, they beat him unconscious and throw him in the basement.
Like, they fucking damn near killed this dude. And Bobby Joe, don't go knocking on doors at cabins you ain't never been to before, sister. That's how you avoid getting shot in the shoulder.
And not for nothing, I'm going to do a don't do that here real quick.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, people going to cabins you've never been to, especially when they look like this cabin. All the windows are boarded up, there's shit all over the place. Like, when you're walking up to what looks like an abandoned cabin, if you're gonna knock, if you're gonna do, you don't come in directly towards the front door. You come in at an angle, and if you get to the door and nobody shoots yet, you knock by standing off to the side, and then you knock. Just in case somebody's standing there with a shotty that's about ready to blow your fucking face off. Just real quick, that's how you do it. You don't do what this chick does here, because it just seems like she's walking head on into the door. As soon as he hears the noise, he's like, blammo, and now she's got buckshot in her shoulder.
Yeah, and you want me to believe that Bobby Joe, a woman named Bobby Joe, growing up in rural bumfuck wherever, is just strolling up to cabin doors that look like that? Like, Armando, get the fuck out. She knows better than that.
Absolutely she does. I've been to West Virginia. I've met those tree people, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They know way better than that.
Yeah, dude, the movie Wrong Turn is a fucking documentary, bro. Straight up.
Annie then here plays the recordings from her dad. They find out that her mom was possessed and buried in the basement by her dad. Ash is then attacked by her mom, Henrietta, but they let him upstairs. She fucks shit up and they finally lock her back in the basement. And then Ed is possessed and then tells them all they'll be dead by dawn. And then Ash gets an axe and brutalizes him until neon soup comes out of him.
Yeah, there's a real color palette that was used here for all the different bloods. I kind of dug it. It added a little element to it.
I liked this better because in the first movie, I think they just used milk for all of the liquids that were coming out. In this one, they got colorful and cool with it.
Yes. Plus, your Amish background, you hate to see milk wasted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the Italian Amish.
Pennsylvania Dutch for life, yo.
Hell yes.
The less fucks Ash gives as the movie goes on, the more I enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's this dude has been through the fucking ringer, and he's still the only one acting on anything. He's been possessed, he's decapitated his girlfriend, he had to chop off his own hands, he's gone fucking insane. He's had all of this crazy shit happen. The fucking wall had its period in his face. And then he's still the only one that's like, oh, I'm going to be dead by dawn? Watch this, bitch. And picks up an axe.
He has the best arc ever.
Oh, fuck yeah.
This is just a great arc. But so the spirit of the professor then appears. He tells them that the pages Annie has from the book are the key to get rid of the evil dead. Bobby Joe then sees Ash's demon hand holding hers. She loses her shit. She goes running into the woods where she's killed by the trees. And this is where I respected the hell out of this movie, because there was no tree shrape. They literally just bind her up and she just gets murked.
Yep.
Like that's
no Harvey Weinstein to be found anywhere in this film.
No.
And the first slash, I thought, motherfucker, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
And they avoided it.
Yeah.
And they just killed her, and I appreciated the shit out of that.
Yes, same. Absolutely. As soon as that scene ended, I was like, good. Good. You just killed her. Because that's all that needs to happen. So Hillbilly Jake here gets pissed that his girlfriend isn't around. She ran out into the woods, and they're not helping. Annie and Ash aren't helping. So he throws the pages into the basement and forces Annie and Ash to go outside to find Bobby Joe. This is when the demon bum rushes them, possesses Ash, throws Jake into a tree, and then Ash chases Annie back into the cabin. Okay. Dirty hillbillies in horror movies, I mean, it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's just, it's just, it's awesome. But when he throws the pages into the basement, I'm like, this motherfucker. Immediately, you're not forcing me to go outside or do anything. I'm murdering you at that point. Because you just rat fucked us all.
Yeah, and again, where I said Skeeter was the most unrealistic character in the movie, now he is the most realistic character, because scared, ignorant, stupid hillbillies just go, give me a gun, tough guy shit, and then just all logic goes out the window. They have no fucking comprehension of anything to do what's happening. It's all caveman DNA at that point. Yep. So I appreciated this scene, but also at the same point, dude, I was with you. Can we kill this motherfucker? And what do you have to do to kill this guy? Because he's taking some bumps in the ring, and he's still getting up.
Oh, he gets blasted into this tree. Okay,
head first.
He obviously already can't read because he threw the pages. And he's like, I can't read this, and he throws it in the basement. He gets thrown into the tree, and then Ash chases Annie into the cabin. And literally, he comes running back like everything's fine. Like he doesn't have CTE at all. Like he's cool. He's like, put me in, coach. Let me back into the cabin. And this is where he gets. The only thing that even remotely stops him is Annie stabbing him with the bone dagger. You have Ash trying to get back in. She's dragging his lifeless body into the cabin.
Which I don't understand that either. To what?
To kick him outside.
Exactly. You know what this guy just did to you, right?
Exactly.
Leave him the fuck out there. Let the skunks eat him. Slowly.
She removes the dagger from Jake. She drags him in the cabin. He's right next to the cellar door. And this is where Henrietta pops up and drags him by his head into the cellar. Great payoff, great scene. And then this is where like Ash and Annie go back and forth. And then Ash is all of a sudden like normal again because he sees the necklace, like Linda's necklace. And then he reverts back to his normal self.
Is Ash's demon possession now like herpes? Is it just going to flare up every couple months?
Well, I think so, because he gets possessed at the beginning, and then the sun comes out, and the evil's like, I can't possess during the day, during daytime hours. Like, these are work hours. Like, go do your thing, and then come back later. Job. The demon's got to go clock in at, like, Amazon and run those little machines that go around. And then so he lets him go, and then he gets possessed here, but then he sees the necklace, and he's just like, I'm fine. So it's, I think it is. It's
like a herpes flare-up.
Herpes simplex 10.
Good luck.
They decide that, they're going to attack and get rid of this evil together, but they need the pages from the book, so Ash has to go into the basement to get said pages. And I'll say this. I know Hillbilly Jake throws the pages in the basement, yada, yada. He's got a great arm because he just tosses these pages and they go like 100 feet into the basement. Like Ash has got to go deep into the bowels of this basement to find those pages.
Dude, that is straight hillbilly hate for foreign languages. I ain't reading this mumbo jumbo malarkey, and he threw it as hard as he could.
No words. That's just triangles. I don't like it.
Ask Ty Cobb about that hate arm strength. My favorite scene of the movie is Ash preparing himself for the battle and how it's like setting up the chainsaw and the thing, and then groovy. That whole scene was sublime. As much as I love Skeeter getting killed, this scene for me was everything.
No, this is quintessential Ash. Like, this is where Ash transforms into Ash. You know what I mean? And, you know, I do like going back to when he first loses his hand, where he's like, I'm just going to put a rag and some duct tape on this bitch. Like, that's man shit right there. Because I'd be on the floor crying. He's like, nope, just a rag and a dirty rag and some duct tape.
Oh, dude, I'd have been like, please possess me. I don't want to die. Possess me. Possess me.
Yeah, but here he goes all like DIY on himself, and he's got the chainsaw hand, he's got the shoddy, and he cuts off the barrels. So now it's the sawed off shoddy. Then he goes into the basement to murder Henrietta and get the pages that Hillbilly Jake threw down there.
And what I loved about this version of Ash is Ash has been holding his own this entire film, scared, ignorant, not really knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Now this Ash is like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm pissed. I'm done. I've had it. That is what I dug about this version of Ash. It's almost like without saying it, a subliminal like, I'm done. Fuck around time is over. I'm about to take you the fuck down a peg or two.
Except
demon.
He does. The only thing I don't like here is that he does fuck around one more time.
Yes, he does.
Because he gets the pages, he takes a couple of steps up the stairs, and he tosses Annie the pages, and then he just kind of sits there for a minute with his back to the stairs, and it's like, bro, you got her the pages. I am running the fuck up those stairs. You got basically two demons now in the basement. Who knows what happened to Hillbilly Jake? Like, he's in there somewhere. He's probably eating rats or whatever.
All over the walls.
And then you got Henrietta down there, and she comes out through the stairs. She takes him down. She gets upstairs and starts fucking with Annie. And I think I told you before we started recording, I liked the practical effects and the makeup of the demons in the first movie better than this one. But with this one, they were leaning more to the comedy. Mm-hmm. And nothing could be more obvious that they were leaning into the comedy than the makeup done on Henrietta here, because I don't even know. She looks like bloated and cartoony almost in her look. But Ash gets up there and he finally chops her head off with his chainsaw hand and then blows her head off with the shoddy.
Yeah, and going back to the whole like throwing the pages up to Annie, when she's like, hey, throw the pages up to me, I'm like, hey, fuck you. I'm bringing them to you.
Yes.
I ain't throwing you shit trapped in a fucking cellar. Are you crazy? I will hand them to you with my good right hand. You can kiss my ass.
No, she went full Karen here because she was like, throw them up to me so I can lock you down there and I'm safe and screw you.
Believe me, I've had plenty of wives that have wanted me to go check the house and my door was locked at the bedroom when I came back.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
Ash and Annie here then hug it out after he kills Henrietta, and the trees attack the cabin. Annie starts translating the pages that she has. The evil appears in the form of this large bloody head. It also, has the power to wilt flowers in the blink of an eye.
Groovy.
Yeah, you're a giant demon, and your best thing is wilting flowers?
Yeah, that was just weird.
You should have asked for a smaller size and a bigger power.
Exactly. So Annie is then stabbed in the back by Ash's severed hand with the bone knife. She dies, and as she dies, she says the last words of the incantation, and everything is sucked into a vortex, including Ash. So Ash then falls from the sky and is surrounded by medieval knights, and the knights are about to attack Ash when this demon creature flies in, and then Ash blows the demon's head off, and then the army of knights fall to their knees and they begin hailing Ash, and he realizes that he's the hero from the sky in the book.
Yeah, he is not at a Renaissance festival. He's proper fucked.
No.
There is no giant turkey leg booth with the wench who's going to go to her Honda Civic in 2 hours to smoke a blunt. I love the ending of this, mainly because it's setting up Army of Darkness, which is my favorite in these. Mainly because Army of Darkness went the extra step further in the comedy and just went, fuck it, we're a comedy.
Yeah.
Which is what I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But overall, dude, I've thoroughly enjoyed this movie, especially compared to the first one. Like, I'll stand by everything we said about the first one, even though we were a little harsher back in the day. But this one is just such a better film. Yeah. Same general premise, same everything, and just the characters are more well developed. Ash becoming that iconic horror movie character is just fun to watch. His performance is unbelievably good, and he still has it because he basically does the same left hand fighting thing in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
and it still plays. He does a fantastic job in this. I really, really, for what it is, enjoyed this movie. Now, will I go as far as the stands go and like it's my favorite movie and look at the Ash tattoo on my dick? No. No, I'm not going that far. It is a fun movie. It is a good movie. I will not say it is even remotely close, though, to my top 10 horrors of all time. And that's just my opinion. Yeah. I'm not shitting on anybody else's. It's just my taste.
Yeah, you know me and lists. I'm not a huge fan of lists because everybody's list is different.
Sure.
I do. There is something to be said about campy horror movies, like this one, that leans into it. Like this was like we need a redo of the first. That's what it's felt like to me. We need a redo of the first one. Let's just like pretend that didn't happen. And then just because that one was unintentionally funny. And let's just lean into the humor side of it. And let's just go this way with it. And I think everybody with this movie started to come into their own. And they kind of got in the zone with this. And this is where, again, I'm not going to go as far as some of like the stands of this franchise, but I'll say I enjoyed it. And once you go in, you know what it is and they know what it is.
Yep.
Now there's this like unwritten contract between you two. And now you're going along the journey together. I really enjoyed that. So I like this movie. Again, as far as like lists and top 10s, and I just kind of lump them all together. This is one of the ones that I enjoy, but this one isn't like in my constant rotation. I have other films that have made that category. This one is just a really good movie. And if it's on, or if I come across it, like we did on Shudder. So this Evil Dead 2 is available on Shudder. But when I came across it, I was like, yeah, we should totally do Evil Dead 2. We've had a couple of people request it. It just made sense. And in that sense, I really enjoy it that way. But it's not going to be in rotation, though.
No. I mean, as far as standing the test of time and that old shtick we do, I think it does hold up. I think trying to remake it like they did as a horror movie was a stupid idea. I think if you put an Edgar Wright, or I mean, fuck, Sam Raimi's still alive. It's not like he's fucking dead, but you know, if you put the right comedic director, like an Edgar Wright who has done Shaun of the Dead, something like that, who could update the movie to now, I'd have zero problem with a remake. But when you try and make this a straight horror movie, it doesn't play.
No, No, it doesn't fit.
No.
It's a
No,
square peg, round hole.
It's hard. And I think it's underappreciated how hard it is to make, or how difficult it is to make a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Like this, or like a Shaun of the Dead, or like a Cabin in the Woods. So unless you can bring that kind of energy to that, it's not even worth touching, because this is a good movie still by itself.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's all I got. Do you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, before we leave, I will tell everybody, like I said, Evil Dead 2 is on Shudder. So if you want to watch it, I'm sure it's in some other places too, but go sign up for Shudder. And with all these horror movies we've been doing, I've had the Shudder subscription for a while, but I've been diving like deep into like the bowels of Shudder. And there's a lot of really cool shit on there. So if you haven't seen Evil Dead 2, check it out on Shudder. But that's all I got. So for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1987's Evil Dead 2.